Good morning. It's Wednesday, January the 20th, and this is The Drill. Thank you. The prayer of the day from the book titled Daily Declarations for Spiritual Warfare. I am a God who reveals secrets, and I will reveal my secrets unto you. I will help you to understand things that I have kept secret from the foundation of the world. You will understand my revelation of my will and purpose for your life. I will open your eyes to behold wondrous things out of my word. The secret things belong to me, but those things that I will reveal to you will belong to you and your children forever, that you may follow all my word. When your soul is weary with sorrow, my word will strengthen and comfort you. My word is eternal, and it stands firm in the heavens. My faithfulness to you will continue through all your generations. Let my word be a lamp to your feet and a light upon your path. From Matthew and Psalms. Father, I will praise you with an upright heart as I learn your righteous laws. I have hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. Keep me from deceitful ways. Be gracious to me and teach me your law. Amen. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. Today, teaching children to hate themselves. All that when I come back. Thank you. The new intolerance, critical race theory, and its grip on America. Critical race theory and public policies based on this worldview will not alleviate racial inequality in the real world. In fact, this dogma undermines human and social factors, such as family, entry-level work, and merit-based education, the wellspring of upward mobility. Critical race theory underpins identity politics, an ongoing effort to reimagine the United States as a nation riven by the division between racial groups, each with specific claims on victimization. In education and the workforce, as well as entertainment and social media, critical race theory has become entrenched, driving decision-making based on skin color rather than individual merit and talent. As critical race theory becomes more familiar to the public in everyday life, critical race theory's intolerance and the idea of systemic racism is being normalized in the American psyche. This weakens public and private bonds that create trust between citizens and allow for civic engagement. Concludes the article. It was from a tweet by the Heritage Foundation. They are getting ready. It was to announce a group of individuals that are going to get together and discuss critical race theory. The problem with this little piece that they're doing here, and if this is where they're going to start, is that there's no historical analysis. Where did critical race theory come from? And critical race theory comes from post-Marxism. Post-Marxism sprang out of Marxism. Post-Marxism is a repudiation of Marxism that says that Marxism is wrong. And so it went off on its own and says that any oppressed class can lead the revolution, whereas Marxism says it has to be the workers of the world that will unite and overthrow capitalism. Some of the oppressed classes are races that the left just made up. They just decided, well, the blacks are an oppressed class, women are an oppressed class. Even Muslims are now considered an oppressed class and can be radicalized and used to lead the socialist revolution and usher in socialist paradise. Okay, so fine. But what has happened is, as does all things with the left, it has backfired. Critical race theory has helped to create a situation where things are worse for the people that they're trying to help, the people that they're trying to empower, than for the people that they're supposed to be taking power from. Because that's what the theory is here, is that power is something you can take away from one person or one group and give to another. In this particular case, take away from whites and white males more specifically, and turn around and give those to blacks and Hispanics most predominantly. So what has happened is that it is Hispanics and blacks that are under more pressure than ever. White people basically go about jaunty jolly, and we do what as we see fit. If I can listen to whatever music I want to, if I'm a white person, and I can eat whatever foods I want to eat, I can do whatever I want without anybody questioning my whiteness. Okay? Whereas with blacks and Hispanics, after this advent of critical race theory, and I also say after the advent of the Civil Rights Act, and diversity. Integration was the watchword originally, then it became diversity. And the idea is that everybody has to be down for the struggle. So all black people keep an eye on each other and make sure that everybody is staying black. And there may be, in some cases, there was a rap song that says, I'm blacker than you are. There's also Hispanic organizations. One is called La Raza. It means the race. And the same basic idea, in which Hispanics keep an eye on each other and make sure and put pressure on each other to make sure that they all stay in the same camp, and that they're not going to go out and spend time too much time with white people. Blacks are called Oreos if they look black but they act white, and it affects everything that black people do, the way they communicate. They're supposed to communicate with Ebonics rather than communicating with good, proper English. Music, no self-respecting black person these days can listen to country music. That's just, forget it. And if there's black people out there that have not had or don't eat greens and other types of southern foods, again, their blackness is going to be questioned. They may be referred to as bougie or as Uncle Tom's, etc. So the point is that all the pressure is put on blacks and Hispanics, and whites are free to do as they see fit. I can eat whatever food I want to, I can listen to any music I want to, and nobody's going to look at me cross-eyed and try to question my whiteness. So the geniuses at Harvard figured this out, that the left is not making things better for blacks or Hispanics, but making things worse, putting more pressure on them than ever before. So they're trying to figure out, how do they take power away from white people, give it to blacks and Hispanics. And what they came up with, again, was critical race theory and the idea that whiteness has to be basically abolished, that there's no way that we can have a world or go forward socialistically and create a socialist paradise with white people or whiteness in the world, and so that has to be destroyed. And so they've found re-education camps, creating re-education camps, usually in schools, as was the case in a third grade class where the math teacher was having the students draw racial identity trees and diagrams, so they could diagram their whiteness and be exposed to the supposed white privileges that they have that no one else has. So this is the same thing with women. Why there's a movement afoot now to get rid of binary in terms of sex, in terms of male and female. The left now wants to abolish that, and we have what amounts to a sex-neutral country, and that way they can go ahead and empower women at the expense of men. I suppose. I don't quite understand how that's going to work, but that's the direction they want to go. They're bound and determined to defy reality, and they expect to succeed. and they won't. They can't. That's part of the reason why conservatives, in the end, are going to win. We always do. We won in the former Soviet Union. We won in the Eastern Bloc countries. We win everywhere because we're reality-based. We are realistic. Okay, we're winning in Venezuela. The problem is that how long it takes for us to eventually win. In the case of the former Soviet Union, it was 70 years. And in the second part of the problem is the damage that the left does to a society while it's busy trying to defy reality. So that's why we want to hasten the demise of the left, of socialism and communism in this country and really everywhere, so that we don't have to spend 70 years. And look, how long has it been going in Venezuela? How long was Chavez in power? Has it been 20, 30 years worth of misery, abject poverty, and whatnot in Venezuela? It's failing, and it's going to continue to fail. It's just the question is, how much misery is it going to spread? How many lives is it going to cost before it's all said and done? So that's why we want to fight here, make sure that socialism doesn't take any more of a foothold in this country than it already has, so that we don't have to go through decades of misery, and we can avoid that fate and make sure that socialism is done in once and for all. The only way that critical race theory, again, can really take hold is if we, the conservatives, we the people, allow it to happen. Now, one of the ways that we can do that is with bad parenting. If you are putting your child into a school and they come home and they report to you that hey, guess what? What'd you do for Johnny for school today? Oh, I wrote an identity. In math class, we did an identity tree or an identity diagram to find out about my whiteness. You better be going to that school, and you better be telling them, damn it, especially if you're wealthy. And this is supposedly came from a school in which that was in a neighborhood with the median house price was $1 or $2 million, $1.5 to $2 million. So these are wealthy folks. So you go to that school and you say, no way. You're going to teach, if the math teacher is a math teacher, he teaches math and nothing else. You tell the math teacher, you tell the principal, you tell him, if you don't like that, Mr. Principal, I'm leaving and putting my kid in another school. As a matter of fact, might not be a bad idea to do it anyway. Don't even give them a second chance. Yank your kid out of that school so fast it makes their head spin and put them in a regular school. If not, hire a teacher, a tutor, so to speak, but somebody that will teach your child at home. And so that's, again, good parenting. You need to be a parent. That means that you're the one that has to exercise the influence. You cannot be neutral as a parent. You have to be involved, and you have to shape your child and shape their future. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. Everybody asks, what can I do? Go home and look at your kids and ask yourself, how well of a job am I doing raising my kids? Because if I want this country to have a future, that's where it is, with my children. So don't be an irresponsible parent. The other thing that you can do and should do immediately, if you're an employee somewhere, go to human resources now. Get into your files and or talk to the human resources representative. And your application, in your application, there should have been a sheet of paper in there that was going to ask you questions that were optional for statistical purposes, what your gender is and what your race is. Now, most people answer it, okay? They say, well, okay, I'm a white male. You want to get in there and you want to change that. You want to tell them, I want to change it and I want it to be, to reflect refuse to state. That I refuse to participate in this. Okay, get in there and get that changed now. Because what's happening in businesses, particularly large businesses, is that they are starting these re-education camps where they're putting people in these schools or classes or whatever, and to teach them about their white privilege. Now, I'm assuming that everybody since it's about white privilege, everybody in the class is white. Well, how are they going to be able to tell who's white? Are they just doing it on vision? The human resources director walks around and says, oh, you look white, you go. You look white, you go. Or do they get into everybody's records and see how they identified themselves? And then they round up all the people that have identified themselves as white and put them in this re-education camp or school or course or whatever. That's why you want to go back in there and say, refuse to state. Okay, because that's an excellent way to avoid this nonsense, because that's what it is. It is nonsense. We know that it's nonsense with certainty by the evidence of our senses and the use of our mind. So don't contribute to this. You don't have to cooperate. Don't. So, back in a minute. Thank you. On the next episode, more daily declarations for spiritual warfare. Tomorrow, violence and the American left. And on Friday, what are the Republican multimillionaires doing with their money? And that concludes another episode of The Drill. Be honest, be smart, and be beautiful. I'm Ron, and that's The Drill.